In 2020, a global pandemic, social justice uprisings, and a tense presidential election loomed over our country. The National Urban League understood the frustration, fear, anger, and desperation running throughout the Black community and was active on the ground across the nation in response to these trying times.
We just shut down New York City and several parts of the country because of COVID. And so the first role was to shore up the resources so that we were able to respond to the need at that moment called COVID. And then the murder of George Floyd happens.
The tragic murder of George Floyd was the tipping point, prompting Mark Morial, president and CEO of the National Urban League, to respond with a more direct and strategic approach, creating the Equitable Justice and Strategic Initiatives Division.
In the wake of the murder of George Floyd, we immediately got super involved in working on the George Floyd Justice and Policing Bill. And it became clear that that work, while we had always done that work, didn't have a focus and didn't have a home at NUL. So in the moment I said, let's create another unit.
And so that was the original formulation of EJSI, but we needed the right person to deliver that. And so that's where Mark went out and he found Jerica.
We were lucky to find someone of Jerica Richardson's talent who took the idea and has really built something from scratch.
The public's immense response and demand for action was overwhelming. The EJSI took a step back to analyze and prioritize the pressing needs that should be addressed.
Well, early on, when we were getting started in this work, there was definitely an awakening that was happening in this country, but there was palatable frustration. And so we were in the space of, well, reimagining. We need to do something different. We were focused on turning internally and thinking about, well, we've talked to the experts. We are the experts. We've talked to, the legal community. We've talked to the politicians. We've talked to law enforcement. But the missing piece has been, time and time again, we've failed to talk to the community.
The National Urban League and its 92 affiliates nationwide harnessed the collective power of the community and corporate partners to strategize, organize, and get to work.
Jerica, superstar that she is, came right in and started the process of developing what now became EJSI. Her first goal around this was really the 21 Pillars. She created the 21 Pillars Tour, and that was the process of beginning to educate and make aware of the issues in local communities, engaging leaders in local communities. And that's always the first phase of anything, educate the people.
It was imperative to educate the community. The 21 Pillars initiative focused on our approach to public safety, restoring trust between communities and law enforcement, and a path forward for meaningful change.
The frustration that people were feeling, I think in some ways dissipated. It was an opportunity of bringing us all together to the table to work on the solutions. And the solutions were community-based solutions.
EJSI's initiatives and programs were implemented to drive policy and advocacy for criminal justice reform, seek police accountability, and rein in on the systems that have served as a gateway to prison and civil rights abuses.
Yes, under Jerica Richardson's leadership, the Urban League is in a new position of strength to where we can work with our local affiliates to ensure that some of the things that are happening in their community, in their backyard, have the national power and expertise brought to the table.
It was crucial to get in on the ground level, working before the legislative sessions and meeting with and educating the legislators to rally support on essential issues to affect change. As done with the Clean Slate, Second Look Act in Texas.
Well, you can write letters, you can get on the phone calls, but there's nothing short of meeting with folks and folks that are in decision-making roles face to face. This was a unique opportunity for me to sit in front of elected officials here in Texas and gain insight from our CEOs here on the ground and hear directly from lawmakers about what it's needed to get it done, what we actually need to do to get it across the finish line.
EJSI took over the capital steps in major, key cities to advocate for police reform, human rights, and more, such as championing the SMART Act in Sacramento.
This is why the National Urban League established this Equitable Justice and Strategic Initiatives Division in 2020. It's why we're here. It's why we create our 21 pillars for redefining public safety and restoring community trust, because we want to stop these divisive policies, and SB 50 does that.
The National Urban League's Expungement program champions second chances to support those burdened by criminal records. We fight for expungement so former inmates can be recognized as productive and valued members of society.
It's so important to have a program like the Urban Expungement Program, and what it requires to sustain it is two things: funding and the will to do it, having the capacity, having the people. And so having laws and having assistance in place to help clear a record, you're now opening up those paths for people, not just to make money, but to really provide for their families, be an example, move on up. It's restoring their dignity. And it sounds so simple, but it's really just that.
The right to vote is sacred, yet it is continuously attacked by those who want to change it or even take it away. The National Urban League and EJSI led the fight to protect the right to vote for all. Our grassroots approach to educating and registering voters nationwide is front and center.
We're standing in the gap in a lot of different ways. The number one way right now is the Reclaim Your Vote campaign. Obviously, we have to get people out to vote. You know, we don't have necessarily a voter registration issue, it's a voter turnout issue.
Coming together is one of the best ways to rally and to get motivated about the work that's ahead of us, right? This is gonna be an important election cycle. And the more that we come together, that we strategize, that we re-energize each other, it just motivates us to keep doing the amazing work that the Urban League is known for.
Although our work has been tremendously successful building platforms and laying the foundation for sustainable programs, the work is still not done. Our fight for social justice and civil and human rights is never ending.
EJSI is off to a strong start. We are really, really excited and grateful for the impact we've made thus far. We really have put a stake in the ground and moved the ball forward as part of the National Urban League. We know our future is bright.
The National Urban League's Equitable Justice and Strategic Initiatives Division is in it for the long haul, and we're just getting started.